What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Talking to the Doll Benfica podcast, episode number 147. As always, with me tonight, Mr. Steve Santos. What's going on, Steve?
Back to the old saying, it's another night, another podcast.
Another night, another podcast. And Mr. Cristiano Oliveira.
Man, why the hell does Steve always get introduced first?
Because he was here before you.
That's right.
I love you, Steve. I just want to start picking on him from the get. I'm doing fine, guys. How's everyone doing today, man?
Good. All right, on tonight's podcast, we will look back at Benfica's double dose of Vitória de Setúbal for the League Cup and for the Championship. We'll also look ahead to the Moreirense game. I think that's all we have. Should be hopefully a short, nice, and sweet one. So let's get this thing going.
That doesn't happen with that guy next to you over there when he's.
Yeah,
around.
I know.
There's no such thing as a short podcast.
I was just going over Steven's notes, and I couldn't find anything relating to the Champions League. So I'm guessing we're off this week.
Well, we won't be playing. We won't be talking about any Champions League. If you want to hear about the Champions League, we're gonna have to tune into the BSH. But anyway, I'll give you the lineup real quick against Setúbal for the League Cup. Artur, Silvio, Lisandro, Jardel, Eliseu, Cristante and Pizzi. We're in the midfield. John and Guedes on the wings. Talisca supported Derlei. Steve, clearly rotation of the squad.
Oh, absolutely. Which is exactly what he should do in a game like this. It's like Chris likes to call it, the Taça de Cerveja. We've won it 5 out of the last 7 years or something crazy like that. We have to put the value in the league itself and let the kids, or not necessarily kids, let the players who don't play as much get the minutes in these games.
Yeah, absolutely. What I wanted to say, and I know that we're all huge fans of Cristante here, but Chris, it seems that for the Taça Liga, we always seem to see Cristante in the lineup.
Yeah, I mean, I think every single one of us up here agrees, and I think most of our followers on Twitter agree with with the fact that this guy is still very green, very raw. He's not at the level where Jorge Jesus expects to put this guy in, week out, and he needs to develop. And by actually getting playing time, that's how these players are going to develop. Same thing with Guedes. I'm actually excited to see Guedes playing, and Talisca maybe adapting him more to that 8 position and dropping him back a little bit more at the ball at his feet, because we've seen him struggle as far as developing plays and creating plays. So Taça de Liga, it is what it is. It's a good way to give these guys the run and give them some more experience, and hopefully get a little bit more adapted to Jorge Jesus' tactics.
Yeah, absolutely. Ola John seems to be getting a lot of time. I think with Gaetan's injury, he's gotten a lot of time. He goes in and out. I don't know, if he's the solution. If Gaetan happens to leave, I don't know if he's the solution. I don't think so, Steve. What do you think? Could be good.
They're too different. Gaetan is a more of a like a 10-like player, more of a thinker, has better touch. Ola John's, especially within the past few months, has been very inconsistent. I think it was Chris that likened him to Nani, and how Nani's always kind of hot and cold. I think if we are to lose Gaetan, we're going to need a player that's has a little bit more creativity to him than Ola John does. Ola John, he's too much hit and miss. I think he played quite well in the league game on the weekend, if I remember right. Those games are kind of meshing in, considering I watched them back to back. But especially for the pass for the goal, you kind of see that he does have a little bit more than what you're always seeing from him. He's got that intuitiveness where he knows he's got to time out the game and wait for things to happen. But it's too hit and miss. It's not consistent enough for me yet. And to replace Gaetan, we're gonna have a guy who's like Chris likes to say, lights out. It's got to be like a top class player.
Oh yeah, I mean, this guy, we say it every week. He's arguably our best player. in particular in the midfield, and he's our best weapon going forward. The guy, he could play the 10, he could play on the outside, he could do it all. And if this guy leaves, it's going to take more than Ola John and Savio and everybody else to make up for his departure. We need to go out there and invest some solid money in bringing in a quality player, a guy that's ready to play from day one. I would say, maybe Guedes is the guy that Benfica is counting on, but that's another guy that's very raw and he's nowhere near, what we expect or what Jorge Jesus expects to play in his system. And I mean, not to get a little bit too advanced here, but if he leaves, as Jorge Jesus leaves, I mean, we could just turn this into a huge conversation.
What
here,
if?
But just to stick with the whole Savio topic, it's going to take a lot more than Ola John to replace Gaetan, because the guy, he is an absolute stud. And have a bunch of friends of mine who Sportingistas and Portistas. Obviously, you guys know Portuguese, man. We all fight it out at the bar over who's got better players and this and that. And one of my friends, John, for the last 2-3 seasons, been saying, man, Benfica loses player after player after player. But I am yet to see them lose their best player, which is Gaetan. In his mind, he's been saying all along that the most threatening player for Benfica in the midfield, the most creative guy in Benfica's midfield for the past 2-3 seasons has been Gaetan.
Yeah, but here's the thing that I was actually thinking of today, that looking at the team that we had last year and looking at the team that we have this year, which is far inferior to the team we had last year, I just don't see us making that many moves in the offseason. I mean, I'm already getting ahead of myself. Making that many moves in the offseason to have a team that was comparable to last year that basically just swept everything.
No, I mean, the only way we do that is by keeping every single one of these players, not letting any of them go out, and bring in some more quality players like we've done in years past. And maybe, just maybe, the fact that if Benfica were able to hold on here to winning the Bicampeonato, which will be the first time since 1983, maybe that will catapult the team to say, you know what, man, we've had domestic success. Now, let's kind of do what Porto did in 2000. Different times, guys. I understand, totally different times money-wise. But let's do what Porto did. Hold on to our players for a season or two and go for it in the Champions League and try. Let's see what we could do if we could create some damage here. And the only way by doing that is keeping the team as is right now, the core, at least the core of the guys on this team right now, keep them and only adding a bunch of other quality players to this team, and maybe going for it all for a season or two, and then telling the youngsters or the guys with the bigger names, the Taliscas and the Cristantes and them other guys that will eventually develop, and the Guedes hopefully, tell these guys, you know what, man, give us 2 seasons of solid performances, let's go for it all, and you guys will be out in the near future.
Yeah, I think that JJ is well publicized that JJ has a 3-year cycle for each player. A three-year shelf life, if you want to call it, for each player that he likes to keep them. And he's often said that if he's kept players together for 3 years, teams together for 3 years, that he could do very solid things. But in these days, I very much doubt that
this squad doesn't
will be able to keep.
This squad doesn't even give you that assurances that if we're able to keep this team together, that they'll be able to develop into teams that we've seen in the past 2-3 seasons, and that is the teams that could go out into Europa League and the Champions League and actually put on a serious threat. Steve, what are your thoughts on this?
I think we've already tried that, hold on to all of our best players, and it's got us 2 Europa League finals in a row. I do not see it happening anytime in the near future, not based on the way our sales have been going. I think I don't see anything that would show evidence that this will happen. I think more than likely Gaetan is gone in the summer, as he's our most valuable asset. I think the Talisca money ticket, like you used to call it, is starting to dwindle down, and we might end up with him for another year to see if he picks up again at this rate.
Yeah, that train's definitely stalled.
Yeah, for sure.
But
yeah, I just recently there's some rumors that Salvio is being looked at by Tottenham Hotspur also, so that would be another I just don't see anybody else in this lineup that will build up enough hype for a big club to come and get for big money.
Go ahead, Steve.
No, I don't see one either. And if third-party ownership is going to be null and void by the next year, I don't see us picking up the Markoviches and the like we've had before. So it's, if anything, you're going to have to build upon what you already have. The Samarises, the Cristantes, those kind of guys that you've already spent some good money on, you're going to have to keep developing them. I don't see us in the market for any big prospects like we have before, unless something really changes.
No, I agree, Steve, man. I totally agree with you. And on this whole TPO thing, third party ownership stuff, it'll hurt them. It'll hurt Benfica as far as bringing in players, but I think it'll also benefit them on the other end that they'll be able to hold on to these players because now you won't have these other outside deals forcing the what's his name, the kid, the Gomes kid, and the Rodrigo that they're already sold before even exiting the club and having deals in place with other teams like we saw Valencia. So I think in that perspective, I think that you'll be able to hold on to some of these players, man. And it's one of these things that I actually welcome the change coming here because I know for a fact that when Benfica goes out and if they are lucky enough to spend the $10 million on a Markovic per se, I know that this kid will be here for 4 or 5 years because now there won't be no outside forces forcing this move to happen anytime soon, as we've seen in years past. So it's kind of like a double-edged knife or whatever, double-sharpened knife on each with it. So I just think that it could hurt you on one end, but it could benefit you on the other end. I'm just very interested to see what happens. Today you see another rumor of the ball, and all the newspapers are reporting Benfica are interested in a Brazuca, a right back, and it's funny because I think it's been pretty well documented that that this third-party ownership will be coming to an end. But Benfica, this rumor, according to the Baller today, Benfica are willing to pay whatever it was for 70% of this guy's pass. So what about the rest of the 30%? I mean, it seems like these teams are still conducting business as usual.
Yeah, you would hope that after the sales that Benfica has done this year, that they've kind of leveled the boat, covered some of their expenses, covered some of their loans, and that will be even keel. But I don't know if that's going to be the case. I don't know what else is out there. I'm sure there's a lot of obligations of loans that we have. But, I mean, if we continue to sell all the talent that basically in 2-3 years' time can make this team a really good competitive team, then it'll be a transition year every single year, basically.
That's basically, I think, what we're going to be looking at.
Yeah. So anyway, goals by Pizzi, Talisca, and Mr. Cup, Jonas. 3-0 was the result, more than fair. Benfica goes on through the final. I'm not really sure when the final is, but we'll await the winner of the... Is it Guimarães and Porto? Is it?
Marítimo.
Marítimo and Porto. The game is going to be played at Marítimo. So we'll wait the winner of that, and this is, our 6th consecutive final or something like that?
Something like that.
So,
glad we all looked that up.
Exciting times, I guess. But let's turn our attention to the other Stool game for the cup. 3-0, same result, 3-0. I'll give you the lineup real quick. It was Arturo back in goal, obviously with Cesar being hurt. Maxi, Luizão, Jardel, and Eliseu. Samaris and Pizzi. Salvio and John on the wings, Jonas and Lima up front, and clearly JJ seems to think that this is our strongest lineup. And Steve, we had a very good start. Scored early. We've also could have had a penalty called against us very early.
Man, I wanted you to save that because I wanted to piss off a couple of our listeners. I wanted to mention that.
You got to call a spade a spade.
Absolutely.
You can't all be on one side. You see things the way they are. I'm not blinded by fandom.
Well,
Clearly, it looked like a penalty to me.
It did, and if you want to go back to the previous game, the Gonçalo Guedes penalty was kind of soft too. So it was they got screwed twice by the ref, if you ask me, Stubble. But it was one of those games where when we score early at home against a smaller team, their heads drop right away. And to be honest, watching Stubble over 2 games like that back to back, I'd be a bit disappointed with my players if I was Bruno Ribeiro. They were very lackluster. It looked like they had no heart. They were never pressing, just kind of going through the motions. I don't know if that's feeling defeated before the game even really starts or what it was, but I mean, a lot's being said about Pizzi, and I like the kid. I'm not going to tell you otherwise, but I think a lot of the ease that he found to play in these games were because the way Stubble was playing. You give a guy with the technical ability that Pizzi has and the awareness and the vision of the game that he has, you give him all that time, he's going to make it look easy and he's going to play really well. So I this whole thing about Pizzi being our best eight with the ball, definitely. George Jesus even came out and said if it was handball where the defensive side of the game doesn't come in as often.
Well, that you could actually exchange
Pizzi
players
plus
on
10.
the defense on the defensive end in handball. You can exchange players.
Oh, is that how it works?
Yeah, that was.
That's the analogy.
Explanation somewhere. That's the analogy.
There you go.
And look, I'm not saying that Pizzi's not a good player. I really am not. But like Steve says, when you're given that much time on the midfield, when somebody's not pressing you, when you don't have to defend, then all your obligations and your expectations are on the offensive side of the ball. Then look, you're gonna come out nice, and I think that right now Pizzi looks good, and he's making a strong case. I think that right now, you look at Pizzi and Talisca, right, Cristiano? You look at Pizzi and Talisca, and I think that both guys on the defensive side of the ball perhaps offer the same thing, which is not a lot.
Okay, I agree. I thought you were gonna keep going.
You agree?
No, I actually think Pizzi does a little bit more on the defensive side of the ball, just a tad bit, not much, but a tad bit. But the difference is when you turn these guys around, you put the ball both at your feet. The one thing, Pizzi will spread the ball out, will get everybody else involved, and he kind of has a brain of a playmaker, even though, like I've mentioned on previous pods, this guy was a winger majority of his career, so I'm kind of surprised adapting really well here. But then again, George Jesus sees this guy day in, day out. I don't. That being said, he seems to have more of an idea what to do with the ball than what Talisca does. Talisca, at the beginning of the season, Steve was killing this guy week in, week out, and you and I were pretty content at the time because you know what? At least he was putting the ball in the back of the net. Right now, he's not putting the ball in the back of the net. He's not getting anyone else involved, and he just seems like a player that's lost tons and tons of confidence, and he has no clue what to do with the ball at his feet.
If he's close to goal and he's got any look at taking a shot, he's golden. The guy's got a sweet strike. But that whole interplay he's definitely struggling with it. A couple of things just to go back to Pizzi. He is improving his defensive game. If you watch, there's a couple instances in the Stubble game where yes, it's a very basic notion, but it's something he's picking up. The Stubble team recovers the ball. The guy who has possession of the ball at that moment has he's facing his own goal, and he's got the ball, and Pizzi's now learned that that's the right moment to press, and he's aggressively getting over to that player while everyone else closes off all his passing lanes. That's a very basic move, a very basic way to press. That's one of the signals that you see that everyone knows, okay, that's the time to press, but he's picking it up. He's seeing these things a little bit sooner. On the other thing, I think Jesus is kind of tailoring him and pushing him to learn the defensive side of the game more. If you watch on the Taça da Liga game, at halftime we're 2-0 up and cruising against 10 men. Jesus goes out and takes out Cristante. Not because Cristante was playing badly. One, we don't need a defensive midfielder like him. Two, by putting Pizzi further back in the pitch, you're broadening his horizons. You're making him learn different variations and where he has to be and what kind of passing lanes he has to block and where he should be playing the ball a little bit more safely and whatnot. I think that was all part of this learning process for Pizzi. So odds are, I think it was Meg that asked us, does Pizzi have a shot at the starting 11? At this very moment in time, against Moreirense, I'd assume that he is going to be the starter. In a month from now, whenever the game versus Porto and Braga come up, that's where the question lies for me. I don't know.
Steven, not to take anything away. not take anything away from what Pizzi's done here in the last couple of weeks because he's definitely improved. But let's not forget, this is a guy that's also been coached by Jorge Jesus at Sporting Braga years ago. So he kind of has that familiarity with Jesus that Talisca still doesn't have. But at the end of the day, I definitely agree with you. The guy seems to have picked up his game, and I think Jesus is going to force feed him now because he gives you that ability to spread the ball around, get everybody else involved. And I know I keep repeating, but I think that's exactly why he's in the game over a guy like Talisca.
No, and you know, as Talisca's goals dried up, and he was forced, obviously, with Jonah's emergence and Jonah's what he brings to the team, the skill set that he brings to the team, the talent that he brings to the team. It was hard. It was easy to see that sooner or later Jonas was going to get the call over Talisca, and Talisca was going to drop to the midfield. And then with him at midfield and not really playing the role that JJ wants his eights to play, it was easy to see that sooner or later Talisca was going to go. And for me right now, yeah, Pizzi does have does bring a little bit more to the game offensively. I think defensively, him and Talisca are just about the same, with maybe Pizzi having a slight edge because he seems to think the game a lot better than Talisca. So I think for me right now, the choice is Pizzi. It's clear to see, but still, I mean, still a long way to go for him to offer us the defensive type of work for a two-man midfield, especially when we have to play against teams that play with the midfield triangle. So, you know, it is what it is. And look, it isn't the first time that JJ has adapted players to a position. I just think that Pizzi needs a little bit more time. I don't know the game against Porto, how that's going to go, if he's going to be ready to go. But the good news is that Mourinho is coming to play. So we're excited about that. So it will add another member to the midfield, and we'll see what happens. And I think defensively, Amorim and Samaris will be very good. I don't think that Amorim has the dribbling ability that Pizzi has, but he certainly has the vision. He has the passing ability, also from a midfield position, both on a short pass and on a long pass. He can launch guys fairly easy. He's got a nice soft touch to him. Amorim does. And I think he'll be a valuable asset. Can he take guys on? No, he can't. And sometimes when you're playing against four banks of four, and your guy that's carrying the ball into the final third has got to have that ability to beat a guy, because all the passing lanes are going to be closed up.
Absolutely. Sometimes you need that 1v1 ability to just create the mismatch that will open up another passing lane. So I think Ruben is going to eventually squeeze Pizzi out of the 8 spot just because he's more familiar with the role. That's what it's going to come down to, and he is defensively better. Ruben Amorim is a player that has played right back on numerous occasions before, so he's got that side to his game that Pizzi does not. The whole thing with Ruben Amorim, though, is it's going to be a slow progress. He's not going to just jump back into the lineup for a 90-minute type game, and it's just not going to happen.
I definitely agree with you, man, because we saw in a game like against Sporting, where he makes the unexpected substitution and brings in an Andre Almeida. And yes, the guy's good defensively, like I've stated many times, going forward, he doesn't offer you much more. That being said, you put in a Ruben Amorim, and he's not going to hurt you offensively nor defensively. No. I mean, Benfica could still kind of implement the same game plan and the same style of
not as aggressive.
That Jesus wants in.
Not as aggressive, but there's a different dimension to Amorim's game that there is to Almeida's. And we spoke about this one after the Sporting game, that Jesus' clear intention was to play defensively against Sporting when he set out when he included Andre Almeida in his lineup. So we'll see. I mean, like I said, good news that Amorim is back, and I'm looking forward to some more games from this team, and we have some tough games coming up. Anyway, we got the break. We got good feedback last week from
tremendous job done by our good buddy
from our listeners about Nelson Lucindo Here it is. We're gonna throw up.
Throw it up.
We're gonna throw up. We're gonna throw it up. Another one of his segments. Hope you enjoy it.
And I speak what I saw, know what you want that I want to say. You understand this?
Ruben Amorim makes a well-deserved return to play this week. He came on as a sub in both games against Setúbal. With fitness and confidence on his side, and Andres Samaris out for the Moreirense game due to yellow card accumulation, will JJ have him play 90 minutes, or will he have other plans? "33 is a number all Benfiquistas can appreciate, not just for the number of domestic titles we've won, but also a certain Brazilian center back that's turning into a fan favorite. Jardel Vieira has just 2 goals in his previous 4 years at Benfica, dating back to the beginning of 2010. But this year, he's already bagged 3. The most notable being his late-game Olé-killing game equalizer against Sporting at the Alvalade. Rui Fonte, a name well known by Benfiquistas and other teams in the second division, wasted no time getting started at his newly loaned club in Belenenses. Having scored in both games he's played in, he's doing as well as anyone could have hoped for. With just 6 more goals, he'll have equaled Fredy Montero's goal season tally. And finally, our very own Thelma Monteiro is now currently ranked the #1 woman in the world for women's judo. Our multiple medal titleist has won 4 gold medals and countless others in world and European competitions. And that's all for this week.
All right, Nelson. Good job again. I didn't know that Jardel's last name was Vieira. That explains a lot.
A certain relative of somebody? I don't know.
Yeah, we talk about pictures here all the time. Now you got relatives. There you go.
That must be the only reason why this guy's stuck around for the last 2.5 years. Must be. I mean, Nelson,
after the guy scores goals, you're still putting him down.
You done messed up, Nelson. You gave away the secret to the recipe. I mean, he scored a nice goal over the weekend, beautiful header. But I thought he got a little bit lucky, and he did exactly what it is that I fear week in, week out when he plays, which was right in the first minute and a half, or whatever it is. He steps in to cover Luizão, gets the ball on his feet, loses possession of the ball, and in my mind, that could have very easily been called a penalty in favor of Vitória Setúbal. So it's plays like that.
Yeah.
That leave me sitting on the edge of my seat. And so for those of you that totally support this guy, hats off to you. But I point to that one play right there as the reason why I'm nervous most of the time when this guy is playing back there.
Yeah. Well, Jardel is, he's the anti-hero, I guess, if you want to call it that, really. There was another play also that he had a good step on the defender, and he tried to be cute. Instead of just clearing the ball, he settled, and the defender stole the ball away from him, and he had to give up the corner. But it's stuff like that, that kind of makes us nervous. He's not calm and collected like Garay. I mean, I know that's a huge comparison.
But we do appreciate his goals.
Absolutely.
Appreciate his goals and his contribution.
Absolutely.
Don't get me wrong.
What about Thelma Monteiro? You know who Thelma Monteiro is?
I went to school with a girl named Thelma.
Yeah?
That was the same one, though.
But this girl could throw you down. She could probably throw down half the population of Portugal if they're within weight.
She'd have to catch me first.
Well, in a ring.
I don't think that's a problem.
Why would I step in the ring with her? Hey, Steve, shut up. Why would I step in the ring with her? I mean, I ain't dumb.
Just in case.
Steve, would you step in the ring with a girl that could whoop your ass? I wouldn't.
She doesn't whoop your ass. She just puts on the gi and she throws it down.
And she'll slam me to the floor.
She slam you, yeah.
Yeah, that'll hurt.
She'll make you submit.
No, I'm tapping out before. As soon as I'm walking, I'm tapping out. That's it. I'm out.
As soon as she grabs you, you're tapping her on her shoulder. That's it. I've had enough.
Steve was sweet talker. You know what I mean? She'll
I'll do my best anyway.
She's very good looking too.
Or Steve's on top.
I'm happy that
Is she? I gotta check this girl out.
she's good looking.
But she's part of the problem that I think Benfica has. She's taking up some of the money that should be going straight to the freaking football club.
How much can a gi cost?
Those things are expensive, bro. They're like $1,000.
$1,000 for a gi?
Yeah,
It's just like a fancy bathrobe.
No, those things are expensive. They're like $1,000, man. A lot of prestige in those things. Don't be cracking on those things, because we're gonna get one of these MMA guys to come out and kick our ass.
Not a lot of MMA guys wear gis anymore.
Well, I don't care. They still, the jiu-jitsu guys still do.
Yeah, the jiu-jitsu.
Okay, and those guys are the guys I'm scared of. Because those guys
are
will
very
choke
scary.
you out. I mean, a guy gonna punch me in the face, whatever. But these guys will straight choke you, break your ankle. I mean, listen, this is a soccer show. Has nothing to do with the MMA.
Anyway,
Steve, fala aí, menino.
next up.
MMA is way too violent for me, man. I'm a lover, not a fighter.
He's a lover, not a fighter. Nice.
Hey, no,
Next up for Benfica, Benfica will travel to Moreira de Cónegos to play Moreirense. Moreirense is currently 11th. And Steve, never an easy game for Benfica, especially when we have to travel up north.
Yeah, the old cliche, up north, small pitches, it all comes to play when you go to Moreirense. It's going to be a difficult game. There's questions about who we're going to play at defensive midfield, because Samaris is suspended for the match for accumulation of yellow cards. Taking bets, anybody? My hunch, it's going to be Cristante. What do you guys think?
I gotta say, no.
Somebody's a replacement this weekend?
Yeah.
I think he's throwing Amorim to the fire.
If he throws Amorim to the fire, just slap in the face to Cristante, though.
It is, and
Really?
it's
It is,
not
because the kid's
smart.
been healthy all year long,
but
and
you
he's
don't-
put in the work
but
week
you-
in, week out, and this guy comes off, and it's kind of like, you have no trust in me. It could be very demoralizing. It depends on the relationship that he has with Cristante. I know if I'm busting my ass all year long, and and you come off the injury reserve, like you're not even 100. If you're 100%, it is what it is. But there's still some question marks. You haven't really had 90 minutes under your belt, and you're gonna start a game over me after I put in all the hard work. I mean, I'm telling you how I would take it. I would take that personal.
Yeah. No, I understand that, but by the same token, you really don't know what kind of arrangement he has with JJ.
And
JJ has given him every cup game so far. But you're right. I agree with you guys. A guy like that puts in the work, puts in the time, hasn't really done anything to compromise his team, to be honest with you. It's been a very steady performance, and we all agreed that he's still very, very green. But really, Steve, Cristante hasn't really done anything to hurt his
Yeah, he
plight
did.
first start.
He did Taça de Portugal versus Braga. Both him and Pizzi were way too slow to react to a counterattack, I believe it was.
Yeah, but you said he was matched up with Pizzi, right? So a guy that offers nothing defensively.
It's
It's kind of a little bit unfair.
And
they
wait,
were
Steve,
both
and I'll
too
let
slow
you
to
know.
do it.
And Steve, both guys, not just one, but both, playing out of position.
I wouldn't say that Cristante is playing out of position. I think Cristante is what the Italians would call a regista. He's one of those guys that play at the base of the midfield. He's more of a passer than he is a destroyer.
He's an
He's
eight.
like a deep lying playmaker.
He's an eight.
He's not an eight.
No?
Chris,
Okay.
Chris, he doesn't have the lungs and the work rate to be an eight. He's more of a stationary type player who makes the game flow. He's not an eight for me. And
Okay.
Zuj has said the same, and I don't always agree with him, but I'll have to agree with him on this side. I don't see that robustness that you need to play at eight. I just don't see an eight, man. I definitely see it more.
I don't see that from Pizzi or Talisca, and they both play eight. So I mean, in my mind, he's an eight. He's a box-to-box guy. He might not be as agile as a Pizzi and a Talisca, but in my mind, he's an eight. And like you've mentioned, he's playing alongside Pizzi, another guy that's getting adapted to the eight position. That's not been his natural position. And then you drop it Talisca back to the number 6 position, which is, as we know, the 6 position is more of a defensive or destroyer position, another position that he's out of, he's not accustomed to. To me, both of those guys are playing out of position. Whether you agree with me or I agree with you, that's another story. But to me, he's a box-to-box guy.
What about Almeida at 6? Sergio is asking. Almeida at 6 instead of Samaris. Or for Samaris' place.
I mean, here's the thing. Almeida's going to have to play sometime, right? got to play more than a game a month. So I mean, that's another good shout. But I think right now, you either bringing in Cristante or you're bringing in Ruben Amorim to get this guy to get to get the rhythm under his wings, because there's some big games coming up and you're gonna need this guy. Because I think if Benfica is gonna win the title, I do think he is going to be a big part of this Benfica midfield for the remaining of the season.
Yeah, for me here's my logic, right? I think that he goes with Amorim, and the reason why I'm saying that is because Benfica needs to score early, and obviously Amorim's energy is limited. His playing rhythm is also limited, but if Benfica can score within the first 30 minutes and open up that Moreirense defense, I think that's going to be huge for us. That's why I think that Amorim will most likely be in the midfield. I'm not really sure what's going to happen. I think maybe Pizzi too, because Moreirense is not gonna attack. So we're gonna need a guy like Pizzi to try to penetrate, to try to make things happen. I just think that Amorim is probably a good choice, and play him until he runs out of gas, and try to take the game to Moreirense for the first 30 minutes. What do you think, Chris? I mean, there's a bunch of choices.
I think Almeida doesn't play mainly because we can't mess around and not win this game. Almeida won't give you the build-up play from the back. He won't give you enough on the offensive side of the ball, even if it is just a simple position like the 6 where you think all you have to do is destroy. It's not so much the case. I would not play Almeida in a game like this when we need to set the initiative. We need to go out there and get the points. We can't really rely on Moreirense coming towards us and then hitting them on the break, where Almeida would be a little bit more useful. We need to really set the initiative. We need to have the ball. So in that case, you need to put a player with better feet at the 6. So for me, it's Amorim or Cristante, personally. I think, just like Chris said, because Amorim is going to be such an important part of the puzzle going forward, I think you have to ease him into it, just in the fear that you may lose him again. Amorim's had a difficult time with injuries over the past few seasons. I think you kind of have to treat him carefully. I would not start him personally. For me, it's Cristante, and then Amorim gets minutes for sure, but not on the start.
Yeah, it could be too.
Opinions,
it could be right? Amorim to play not so much as a defensive midfielder, but more of an 8 in front of the defense, when you really don't have to defend against a Moreirense who will most likely be defending very close with cutting off passing lanes. I don't know. There's a few things that you could look. The way you could look at this game and find some logic behind it. I definitely think that Amorim is going to get time. He needs to. I agree with you that he needs to ease in Amorim. I definitely think that he's going to get time.
I don't think there's any doubt he's going to get time. He will get time. I just think, it'll probably be as a substitute. I think Cristante and even Andre Almeida. I mean, that's a great shout by whomever hit you up on Twitter. Sergio, great shout by Sergio, because here's the thing, man. The guy's going to have to play at some time. At some point, I should say. He's going to have to play. So maybe does he step in for Eliseu or even Moxie? He's going to have to get on the field at some time. This is one of them games that I think Benfica will win this game pretty easily, in my opinion. So I think he might actually rotate a couple of these guys. And I just think Cristante, due to the fact that he's been there since day one, putting in the hard work, and he's really been the second alternative to Samaris at the 6th position, I think he'll get the call.
Now, fair is fair. I agree with that. But not always. JJ doesn't always follow that logic. But fair is fair. I agree. I think that the kid deserves, now that that somebody's is gone and the 6 is open. He's been our second choice at 6, basically, for the League Cups. Why not start him? I think that defensively he's not going to be a liability because, as I've said, Moreirense is not going to be attacking a lot. But I think that JJ is going to start Ruben Amorim, and he's going to go with him for at least a half, and then figure out what he's going to do.
Well, it's rare that me and Cristiano agree, and we're both going with the Cristian thing. I wish we had one of each. If we had one guy for each, Almeida, one for Cristian, and one for Amorim would be pretty interesting to see who actually won in the end. But let's see what happens. I don't think it'll be Almeida, and it doesn't look like either of you do either.
I might see Almeida play, but maybe as a right back or left back. I could see him playing in that. I just don't think. I don't know. I think you have other alternatives. Why try to force another guy yet again to play out of position? But then again, Jorge Jesus is a hardhead, and we've seen him do that many times. I would not be shocked at the end of the day. But I just think when you have an opportunity to give a Ruben Amorim some playing time, and you have an opportunity to develop another one of your youngsters in a Cristante, a guy who Benfica will be counting on in the next 2-3 seasons, I think this is it. I think you have to take advantage of it right now, and you go with the guys that have been there all year long. Maybe bring in a Ruben Amorim if the game is, out of, pretty much in control going into the second half, and give the guys some playing time like that, and let them get into the game. And like Steve said, hopefully, he doesn't get one of these cranky injuries that we've seen him catch over the last couple of seasons to damper the day. But I just think that. I don't know. I'm actually agreeing with Steve, and I can't even talk. I don't even know what to come up with because I'm actually agreeing with Steve. It's a lot easier to disagree.
Both you guys valid points, but I think we're all in agreement that PT starts at 8.
I just want to bring up some stats, though. Our good friend Pedro Martins. The guy's always on the game. This guy's spectacular.
Yeah, lunchtime.
He's out there wrestling with the kangaroos and checking out Benfica stats for us. Benfica versus Moreirense, 11 wins, 3 draws, 0 losses. Benfica over there at the Canecos, 6 win, 1 draw. So those are pretty spectacular numbers. Pretty spectacular numbers. Just like I said, I think Benfica will win this game 3-0 and rotate some of these other guys. Bring in a Guedes. I want to see the guys I want to see come off the bench. I want to see Guedes play, get some real playing time. I want to see Ruben Amorim get a lot of playing time in the second half. And then it's a toss-up. I don't know who I want to see. The other guys I don't really care
about.
Yeah,
the game comes up this Saturday at 1900 local, 7 p.m. local.
So 2 here.
So 2 o'clock here in the east coast of the U.S. and the east coast of Canada and Toronto.
Absolutely. One guy that I hope to see this weekend is Gaetan. I think we need to get Gaetan back into rhythm and going. Hopefully,
forget Gaetan, dude. Forget he's
only at 100%, Steve. If I don't want no question marks, 100%, I'm with you. If he's not 100%, sit down because in reality, if Benfica can't beat this team without Gaetan, I mean, just pack it in for the rest of the season.
I actually thought they already had ruled out Gaetan for Moreirense.
I thought I read that he was going to be ready for Moreirense, so. It's something we're definitely going to have to look into, and we're probably only going to find out the day of anyway, one way or the other.
I mean, listen, just get Peggy on it. Peggy will get all the information. Peggy, if you're listening, get on this. Get us the latest
homework for us, Peggy.
Yeah, let's go, Peggy.
Yeah, I don't know about Gaetan, but I'm with Chris. I would ease him. I would ease him in.
Not ease him in. I mean, the guy, if he's healthy, he's a starter. No easing in. But I don't want to bring him in if he's at 90%. I want to know that the dude, also. It's one of these stupid muscular injuries. At any moment, if you're not 100%, anytime you try to take off or anything, you know what I mean? Try to get that quick step on it could come right back. So I want to make sure that the dude's 100%. And I'll tell him, as George, as his manager, if you're not 100%, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I think that a game up north where the space is going to be limited, I don't know. I'd let him sit, man. I'd let him sit on the bench. And don't miss Benfica's youth team. They play Liverpool this Tuesday, February the 24th. Sorry, Neela just mentioned that on Twitter. So I think that's about it, man. You got anything else?
Yeah, I'm impressed. I just have to say I want to congratulate our good friend Steve Santos. We've gotten through a whole podcast without his internet crapping up. So, Steve,
what did you do?
It must be the new job.
What did you do different today?
Today
closed everything off, right? No Twitter.
Yeah, that, and I rebooted my computer just last week too. So who knows?
Just last week you rebooted it? You didn't reboot today?
According to the news, a bola,
format.
Ruben Amorim espreita titularidade em Morrega do Canecos.
Yeah, but that's all
Speculation.
That's all speculation. I mean, we're only on Tuesday, man. I think that he starts. I think that he starts. I think that he starts and he goes at least one half.
Well, whoever it is, it's got to be somebody who can use the ball well for me. So
It's actually funny because as I scroll up to the page, the very next piece of news is Jesus deve adiar regresso de Ruben Amorim. So,
yeah.
sorry guys, I should have started from the top.
In English, basically, what it said was the first one was, yeah, he probably play this weekend. Then the second was, man, maybe we shouldn't rush him back.
Look at this guy. Look at this guy translating in English. Man, come
Well-
on. I mean, how many people are listening to this that don't speak Portuguese? I mean, let's be realistic.
There is a handful.
Yeah.
You must know something I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I
It's
mean,
like Eric. Every time I say something in Portuguese, translates in English.
yeah, but you guys have a different audience than we do. But anyway,
Steve just wanted to show off his.
I
translating
think
skills.
That's
I think
it.
that's about it. Steve, you got anything else, dude?
I just want to wish a happy birthday to one of our listeners. I'm seeing on Twitter it's a certain Amina's birthday. So happy birthday,
is?
Amina. Amina, like you like to say it, but it's actually Amina.
Amina.
Is
Happy
it Amina
birthday.
or is it Amina?
Oh, maybe Amina. Maybe that's proper.
Amina, happy birthday.
When's her birthday?
Wait,
Today?
she's 16 today?
That's what it says. Age, I don't know.
Cause she drink yet? Cause she finally drank at 16?
She's not.
You gonna go have a pint, mate?
She's not 16.
You gonna go have a pint? You freaking wanker. Nah, congratulations, happy birthday, Mina. Many, many more.
Yeah, in our company, obviously. Any other shout outs, Steve?
That's
I
all.
want a big shout out to Sagres for having enough balls to publish what they did and then take it out right away.
that was a real Mad Men moment for me.
No, that was Mad Men. I thought that was brilliant.
What did I miss?
Yeah, well, what's
You
Mad
didn't
Men?
see it? I'm gonna show it to you.
Okay.
I thought it was brilliant by them, and apparently they got a call from the Federação because Patricio was a goalie, is a Seleção keeper.
Yeah, I mean
But that was brilliant.
they're one of the official sponsors. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm gonna
but
show you.
Once you mention Patricio, I'm assuming they said something regarding the goal he gave up. And as an official sponsor of the league, come on, bro, you have to be right
I think
down
it
the
was
middle.
all done in good fun, and you know people are too touchy.
It is nowadays. People are too sensitive, bro.
Too touchy. But I can imagine if he gives up that first one where he goes to grab the ball, or I don't know what he did, and then he heels the ball and almost goes into his goal. I thought that was hilarious. You'd have to see the game to see the whole thing. Go on the record site and I'll show you.
That would mean I'd have to care about sporting right now.
But I'll show you because it's a
All
very
right,
funny
I'll check
video.
it out. I'll check it out.
Anyway, at Steve Santos 6, Chris, any birthday shout outs? Shout outs to BFFFFs.
Yo. I just want to shout out everyone who listens, man. I really appreciate the support
man.
you guys give us. Make sure you tweet us out, man. Get a little bit more involved. Let's get people watching this live. We're going to print out a special edition Steve Santos t-shirt because obviously the last edition of T-Shirts Benfica podcast was a really good seller, but we're trying to create some more funds here for the Benfica podcast, so maybe hopefully we can meet you guys outside of the loose. So I think the perfect way to go is Steve Santos. So definitely hit us up if you'd be interested in buying a Steve Santos t-shirt with his,
Steve Santos.
All right.
What is it going to be? My big head on the front of the
Your
shirt?
big head and a chalkboard in the back.
All right.
That's it. Yeah,
I'll wear one.
Somebody, you'll order one, Steve.
Yep.
I won't. Nah, that's
At
really it, man.
10CO10, at Benfica Podcast, BenficaPodcast.com. Don't forget our friends over at planetbenfica.co.uk. Neil, Sergio, Mina,
Nelson,
Meg,
good job, Nelson.
Nelson, everybody that contributes and that participated tonight that I could see, and I apologize if I'm forgetting anyone.
And
Thank you very much for
Go on Twitter and wish Amina a happy birthday, everyone.
That's right.
She's a been Man U fan, but we'll forgive her.
We'll forgive her on that side.
I kind of like I like Menu too.
What?
Go if you go buy her a pint.
Buy her a pint, a Guinness stout. Or now Pedgie will send her Foster's Australian. Yeah.
Australian, yeah.
Shout out to Pedgie too. I forgot.
My favorite beer is Red Stripe, man. Jamaican
man.
beer, man.
All right, thanks everybody.
Peace out, yo. If you're listening, send us some beer, bro. I'll give you my address. Hit me up on DM.
See ya.
Peace.
Ciao.
Arrivederci.